Hey guys, y'all come stand over here kind of behind me. Y'all come kind of stand Hey everybody, if y'all gather around, we're about to kick this off. I just want to thank everyone for being here for this amazing event. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my daughter Chloe, who actually started this foundation because she has such a big heart and such a strong faith. We want to, first of all, before we have prayer and Bobby opens with the national anthem, I would like to introduce Dr. Young, Matt Young. I know most of y'all know who he is with Texarkana Emergency Center. And it's really amazing to us to have him here because he is the one that found Chloe's tumor. And between them and Exceed Urgent Care, Tanya Dubois, they gave us 13 extra months when it could have been just 2 days. So I just want y'all to know that their organization, their center is amazing. The people there are amazing. And they were so quick that they had called the ambulance before we even really knew, to transport us to Arkansas before we even really knew what was going on. So they were just spot on. And I'm just so thankful to have all of y'all here. I appreciate Texarkana Marketing for putting together, doing our live video and putting together an amazing video. Y'all can check out online. cjof.org is our website. And we just hope everybody has a good time. And we have all of our royalty here, Texarkana royalty. We're so glad to have them. They're going to actually be giving the finishers their medals as they come through, and then we'll have the awards afterwards. But I'm going to let Dr. Young say a few words.
Thank you so much. And well, we're here for Chloe, and it's awesome to look around and see all this and to realize that those of us who got to know Chloe and know Chloe, that it was all about hope. She was wiser beyond her years, and she was usually comforting those around her. And so she lives on, and we've got to try to work together to raise funds to be able to find cures. And so many caregivers gave so much, and what this family is doing to continue Chloe's journey is awesome, and we're just very, very proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Donnie, if you will open in prayer. This is Donnie Mooney. He is actually our pastor here at Northside Church, and we want to thank Northside Church for allowing us to come mess it up a little bit here.
Father, we love you and we thank you for your mercy and your goodness. And Father, we thank you for Chloe, who continues to inspire, Lord, to give us hope and faith. Lord, just to continue our fight. Lord, we thank you that this event and events that will follow today would continue to raise money for those that are in need. And we just ask a special blessing over all of our runners today. And we ask that, Lord, you would keep our athletes safe from injury and from harm. And Lord, we're going to praise you for those things in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, and Bobby Slaney is going to be doing our national anthem, and she has a beautiful voice and one part of our leadership, our music team here at Northside, and we're just so thankful to have her.
Oh, so can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, we're about to kick it off. Let's see, what time is it? 7:46. Okay, we are going to start our race at 8 o'clock. We are so thankful to have Team Texarkana here, Mike Riley, that is going to be timing the event. And we do have some bounce houses and things for the kids, runners, and so y'all just make yourselves at home.
All right, good morning, folks. We're just a few minutes from getting this thing on the way. I need to share some information with you. Okay, we got basically 3 events in one. We've got a 5K run. We've got a 5K walk. We've got a 5-mile run. All right, on the course, keep in mind, be careful about traffic. I noticed as I was setting up this morning, there's lots of garage sales already going on. All right, so be careful with those folks. When you get on Salmon, it was kind of surprising me, but they've taken out half of the lane. All right, so you're heading north on Sandlin towards Clear Creek. Please, you'll have to veer to your right. We will have somebody there helping direct that traffic as you go. But once you clear that, you're free and clear. We've got Texas State Troopers and Texarkana City Police here. We certainly appreciate their presence as well as their support throughout the year. The course is extremely well marked. If you do not see one of these, please look at me. See one of these arrows, do not turn. Okay? In a lot of places, I've even put 2 arrows. And I hope that works. But again, 2 arrows. I've got 2 water stations out there for the 5-milers up on Knotty Pine and then on Summer Hill and Stone Ridge and Clear Creek. Please be careful out there again. And if you decide to pull out of the run, okay, I need you to take your bib off and do not come to the finish line because it'll score you. And that might bother some people in your age group. So please, if you decide not to run, I need you to kind of take your bib off and put it in your car or throw it away.
Okay, guys. The runners we want in the front, right? And then the walkers behind. So if we're gonna start the race right over here. So if y'all want to go ahead and get ready and kind of try to stay to the right side for a few minutes. The runners will be in the front and the walkers in the back. And we will get this going here in a minute. Thank y'all so much.
Great opening ceremonies from this 5K at Chloe's Knots for Noggins, Chloe's Journey. Matt, you spent a lot of time. Chloe was at Liberty ILO.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Chloe was a middle school student of ours, a great kid, one of those kiddos that really left a mark on a lot of people. And I think, sometimes maybe that gets said a lot of times after somebody is gone. But Chloe was one of those kiddos that was always happy. She was always a jokester. That was kind of her thing. And anytime you hear the teachers, the students talk about her, that's what they talk about. She was, a great student, obviously always on her schoolwork and that kind of stuff. But more importantly, she wanted everybody to be having a good time. She wanted her friends together. She wanted people at her house. She wanted to go to other people's houses. And it's been, bittersweet to watch her friends grow up and continue that. And, one of the things Miss Stiles talked about with her is that throughout her entire sickness, everything that she was battling, she never changed her personality. She never allowed all that to change who she was down deep. And I think that's why days like today are important to remember that spirit. Anytime somebody's fighting an illness like cancer, it's something that, unless you've been there, I don't think you can understand it. I don't think there's any way for me to speak intelligently on how to deal with that. But I do know that Chloe was the same on her last day here as she was the time before that. I know that her faith never wavered. I know that her love for her family never wavered. And I know the inspiration that she left for so many as we continue our lives can tell us so much more about how we should live our lives as we continue to move forward also.
I had a friend, Jay Tomorrow, had the exact same kind of cancer. He was 34, which everybody said was really young. He wasn't even 34, I think he was 31. So they said was really young for that. And then at the same time, Chloe had it. So I started following Chloe. I felt like I knew her. You know,
Right.
her mom was always so detailed and let everybody know exactly what was going on. And come to find out, you know, years later, you know, by marriage, we're actually related to each other.
Okay.
And then, of course, you know, knowing Michelle, we did this a video for
Yeah.
Chloe, and I found out even more. You know, Dr. Young and I became friends, and I'm sure it's never easy to, you know, to deliver some of that news. You
No,
know?
it's not. She came over after seeing Tanya Du Bois at Exceed Urgent Care. Tanya did a great job. Her crew did a great job. And they recognized there was more to the story than just a virus or, you know, bacterial type infection. So they sent her over, and Michelle knew something wasn't right as well. You know, I think sometimes, unfortunately, you kind of want to be in denial when it's your kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so when they brought Chloe over, after getting her symptoms under control, which was mainly kind of headache, nausea, vomiting, we were able to get the CAT scan, and sure enough, there was a unfortunate tumor on the CAT scan. And so usually when you have something like that with a pediatric patient, you know, all of us feel for them and the family, so we do everything we can. And our staff had already made a copy of the CT, got her ready to go. We had already called Arkansas Children's, talked to the attendings up there, told them what she was dealing with, so we could get them prepared and get them on the road. And then just talking to the family, and it is difficult when you go in there and try to tell them that there's a bad diagnosis on
Right.
this,
Yeah.
you know, X-ray or CT report, but to be able to do it, and then somebody like Chloe, I tell you, she had hope through the whole time, and
Yep.
there was hope from the initial diagnosis. The family's just an awesome family to be able to go through this and be able to have this, and then now seeing what we're doing today, that
Yeah.
Chloe's journey lives on, and she was, again, as Matt was saying, I mean, she was a wise beyond her year, kind of a prankster. She had an infectious smile, and for people to be here, to be out this early, this cold, we know that Chloe's going to live on, and her family is just amazing to be able to have something like this and to have her live on, and she's truly with us today.
You know, her mother, you know, when she came and spoke to me about, you know, she was going to do this, you know, of course I wanted to be involved, but she, you know, there's some things like the foundation starting on Chloe's birthday.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't her that came up with that date. It was just kind of outrageous. It was kind of like it was meant to be. You know, but there were some things that really stuck out to me that I didn't know until that video came out. So I started looking at editing. You know, Chloe, even in a place of, I would assume, fear, I would be scared. You know, she's making quilts and having Liberty ILO. Says a lot about their kids. For kids that are going through the same thing as her. You know, and I didn't know texture and feel that would be something to change. It's something I learned.
Yeah, I think, you know, when kids are dealing with chemo, I think there's just so many things that it does to your body, but one of those is everything kind of hurts when it's on you. And so she knew that those fleece blankets were something that could help the kids who were down there in Houston. And so she said, hey, I'm going to get my friends together, and we're going to do something about it. And then it grew from there into more kids at Liberty ILO, but then it grew to other schools around here also. And that's the power of what hope can do. That's the power of when you decide and say, I'm dealing with something that's hard to explain. I'm dealing with something that there are no answers for.
Yeah.
You can't ever look at it and get a good answer for why, and you say, but in spite of that, this is what I can do. This is what I'm going to do going forward. You look at today, a family, I can't imagine as a parent, how do you bury your child? How do you reconcile that? I don't know if you ever can, but you have her family that says, in spite of that, we are going to do something. We're going to continue this work, and that's what this is. And when that happens, I think that inspires a community. I think that's why you have so many people out here who are involved today that want to be a part of this, because people want hope. And that's what we lack in so many areas across our country. And today, I think, is just a great example of what that hope can do. And it all started with a little girl who, like Dr. Young said, refused to change and said, this is what I'm going to be. This is who I am. And regardless of what happens to me, I'm not going to change that. And that leads to things like today.
Yeah. Well, did you hear your boys, were they young enough to go to school with her?
They are, and I've got several that knew Chloe very well. Not to the point though. I've got probably one of my best friends, Jeremiah Howard. I don't know if y'all know him or not. He's a teacher for Liberty ILO, and talking to him, dealing with him, and Chloe was one of his favorite people, if not his favorite.
Yep.
And every time, I mean, it comes up at least once or twice a month in conversation with him. It's amazing how much it has affected him, and still to this day, he will tear up, and when he talks about her, he's glowing, but at the same time, heartbroken. And one thing I can tell you about Jeremiah is he loved Chloe, and he knew what kind of girl she was, and he's a great teacher, and he deeply misses her, absolutely. And just being around him, it lets me know what kind of person she was, absolutely.
And I think, speaking of that, you know, when you're going through that, and her still giving back to other people, not worrying so much about herself. Also, occasionally she would come in after getting chemo, and, you know, unfortunately, maybe dehydrated, nausea, vomiting. As soon as we got her over those symptoms, she was giving hope to not only her family sitting in the room, she started giving us hope as physicians, nurses. And so for her to keep living her life that way, you realize many times, unfortunately, when we do have to tell parents that a young child has died, you know, probably the most tragic thing. But this is where we turn tragedy into triumph. And when we ask, why would a good person, young person, die so young? Well, from, you know, this is the good coming out of something that was bad, and this is going to continue. And Chloe's journey is going to continue. And you just feel her presence. And for those of us who were fortunate enough to know her, she affected our lives.
Yes, sir.
In a short way, and you know, we try to daily affect other people's life, and you know, she lived a short time, but think of the people that she came across, that she's made a huge difference and impacted us in a positive Christian way.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit, Matt, about what all LE, kind of the legacy she left there, and what's still there from her today.
So one of the things that I think her family wanted to do after this, and in working with some of the students at the school, was to create an area just of remembrance as a whole. You know, Liberty Isle is a community, and so much of our community in Texarkana are based around our schools. And people love our schools. That's what makes Friday night so great. And the same thing is true out there. And so her family there at the middle school wanted to create a butterfly garden. That was kind of a symbol, the blue butterfly, kind of a symbol throughout her entire fight that she went through. And so they did the research, what that was going to take, worked with our GT kids. They kind of did that as a project on their own. And we were able to get that butterfly garden in. And again, that was a community effort by people in Liberty Isle and outside of Liberty Isle. The entire border of that thing is actually made with the rocks of the rock school that were there. And really? You know, I've said it before, at the same time Chloe was going through this, we actually had another student at Liberty Isle who was Ambria, and she was a kindergarten student. They had the same cancer, and they died within a couple of months of each other. And Ambria was a student at the rock school, and she has a memorial out there at the Butterfly Garden too. And of course, Chloe went to the rock school when she was there, so that was integrated into part of it. And then throughout the years, we've had students that passed away. That's one of the toughest things I think about the education business, is that you're going to deal with that at times. And so we've had trees planted on campuses, and we've had memorials inside, and so this just gave the community a place to come out. And so there are bushes and benches around that entire garden who are dedicated to some of those kids who in years past have passed away, that were part of our Leopard family, because that affects people, you know, wherever they are. And it's good because you can walk through there and you can see those names, and you can remember those stories, and most importantly, you can remember the inspiration of an entire community. And it's just a nice place. It's a peaceful place. If you ever get a chance to go out there, just stop and just walk through it and check it out. They've done a great job on it. Our GT kids at the middle school keep up with it, keeping it cleaned up and that kind of stuff. And so it's just an ongoing project. But so much of the community was poured into that, and I think it's just a reflection of what the family wanted to do, and really trying to a reflection of Chloe's legacy out there at the school.
You know, there's a video that was a short little documentary film. It's about 15 minutes long. You can watch it on Chloe's Journey of Faith Facebook page or TXK Marketing's page. There was a scene in there that I had to ask our videographer if she put in. She was at the butterfly garden and caught a butterfly coming across screen, almost at like a perfect angle.
Really?
And I just couldn't believe that they actually caught that on camera. She swears she didn't put it in. It actually happened. And she was almost in tears talking about it.
Yeah.
Man, I see a guy running with his shirt off. He can get the memo. It's cold.
He got his American flag pants on.
We're here to take care of him if he gets hypothermia.
Dr. Young will be here.
That's great.
But so they have about over 100 runners.
Yep.
For right off the bat. And I know Michelle, Chloe's mother, was kind of stressing about, just about putting something like this on. I'm proud of the work that they did getting this going, and looks like they have a really, really big group.
Yeah, got a good turnout today. Putting on any kind of event like this, I don't know if people understand how many moving parts there are. I think it's impressive for people to do that. Of course, as a hairstylist, Michelle's going to have so many connections because, you get somebody in your chair for an hour, they don't really have anywhere to go. So you can ask them for favors, talk to them, and get other people involved. But the community comes out for these kinds of stuff. I've been around 5Ks. I've never participated in one, if you can't tell, but I've been around them, and this is a very tight-knit community, I think, in the running community. And so when you get 5 or 6 key people behind something, you're going to end up with a big group out there, and hopefully this is just something that will continue to grow and go on from there. But yeah, it's a great environment out here this morning for a 5K.
Dr. Young, I think, how long have I known you now, personally? Probably, it's really been a few months.
Yeah.
Man, the work you're doing in Texarkana and have been doing for years, I spoke with you a while back, and you're like, man, your father kind of instilled a legacy of giving back to the community and doing what's right. I know you and I have had that conversation quite a few times about, always trying to do what's right. And I know it's kind of the companies I have, we've kind of changed our focus on really being community out, and man, you're a busy guy. I don't know if a lot of y'all know, probably one of the busiest men you will ever meet, but I don't ever see you miss anything, man.
Well, it is. It's one of what sets us apart is we try to be out here in the community. And again, it is exactly what you said, kind of the way we were raised, my brothers and my sisters, from our mom and dad, and obviously the good Lord above, and then from our business model, being out here and being in the community. And we have a wonderful staff that allows us to do this, allows us to come out. We have Kevin with our X-ray CT is here, and Brooks here are one of our marketing directors. And so we just try to get out and support the community, because here it is, as Matt said, we are a tight-knit community. Trying to keep the place safe too. Shout out to the police officers who are keeping the course safe so our runners can be out there and not have to visit Texarkana Emergency.
There you go.
But for us, it's kind of our ministry, giving back to the community, and then being there for when you have an emergency, be it a trauma or illness. But, good things always come, we feel, if you're willing to give to others.
Yeah.
Well, everything starts in your community. It starts in your household, branches out to your community and your city, and we appreciate everything you do.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great event, and again, you meet somebody like Chloe, and she has a lasting impression on my life.
Yep.
And you think nearly 20 years of practicing emergency medicine, seeing people traumatically injured, death, illness. And then for 12-year-old, 13-year-old girl to come in there and give me hope and inspire me, it's just amazing, and the Lord's work through her, and it continues today.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The thing, if you're watching, and let's say you don't know Dr. Young, you've been practicing medicine for your entire adult life, and I can't imagine, I don't know anybody who hasn't seen you at some point. He's been through a lot of cases, but healthcare is changing, to kind of flip it a little bit. The work you're doing in the community is obviously not going unnoticed, because, like I myself, I was talking to someone the other day, my first, if I feel like I'm sick or if my life's on the line, my first stop is Texarkana Emergency Center.
Yep.
You know, and 5 years ago, that wasn't the case. Is that you completely opened up something not everybody knew we needed, and now I couldn't imagine it not being there.
I think, practicing at the hospital-based emergency departments, they still do a great job. I mean, they're great nurses, they're great doctors. We just saw a niche in the community that we felt was needed and opened up the first freestanding emergency department. And fortunately, we're been successful in taking care of patients. And that's predominantly, other success will come with that if you just take care of your fellow man and woman and child. And so for us, it's a matter of being part of the community, and fortunately, because of that, we were able to add on.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, with all this construction going on.
Right,
all kinds of stuff happening over there.
So we're, to be able to better serve the patients in our community, adding on 4 inpatient rooms, and then going to have an MRI, and then more ability to take better care of our community, and just have really, really enjoyed it. It's a pleasure going to work, and many times, like Chloe's cases, it's very difficult to come in there and give Chloe the diagnosis and to give her parents the diagnosis as well. But I think the Lord put us in places that He wants us to be.
Right.
And so for us, that's why we're out in the community, because we want to treat you the same outside of the community as inside our emergency department, and that's with respect, dignity, kindness, and compassion.
And I'll be honest, that's something that's a palpable difference when you walk into Texarkana Emergency Center. If you haven't had a chance to go in there, I wouldn't intentionally do something to avail yourself of that. But if you do, get to that, I can tell you, it's a different environment, and that attitude that they have for reaching the community, being accessible, being patient-minded, that goes into everything that they do. And it shows up there. I was across the country, and my son got hurt at school, and my wife's freaking out. And, I said, take her there. And I was able to, I just text Brooke, and I was like, hey, my wife's there. We're kind of scared. And Dr. Young and she both came in there and just checked on them. And just as a dad, to be a couple thousand miles away from your family, it feels good to know that there's some folks there that love on them and are going to make sure they're good. And that lets you know, that was a minor thing compared to what some people deal with. But that if it was something that was huge, I wouldn't want to trust anybody else with that either.
Well, one thing my wife enjoys about it is more than just taking care of the parents, the patients too, is it's efficient. They go in there and don't have to wait
in
2
a hurry.
or 3 hours. And
Yes, sir.
It is a different experience. Beautiful in there. I think the very first week y'all opened, and it's funny how kids remember things. My son was maybe 1.5 years old, and to this day, he still has this teddy bear y'all gave him. Y'all gave him a toy and a teddy bear. And it was like he still has it,
ready to go.
It's crazy how these kids can just remember and hold on to those things. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but of course his mom was like, "We got to go in there." He had a cut underneath his chin, just required a little glue, but you'd have thought the world was ending. I remember going in there, and at the time I'd never heard of anything like this before. But it's funny how not hearing of it, we knew exactly where to go.
Yeah.
I can, that back left corner one is the one we went to. And, it's just, Dr. Young was there. It was a really...
It's a different experience.
That is the word I keep wanting to use over and over, is the experience. And then not only the experience you get just as a patient coming in, it's different. It's a beautiful place. It's inviting. Every single person that works there is always in a great mood. And then on top of that, that starts at the top, with the Dr. Young. You'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that has anything negative to say about it.
Well, I appreciate that, but there's a great team there. Let me tell you. There's a great team there, and it's always staffed with amazing, from the front desk to our security officers, to our nurses, our CT X-ray techs, our medics, and then our physicians. We all live in the community. So for us, we're going to see people out in the community if we go to a restaurant, or if I need my truck fixed, or if I need new tires. I want them to treat me the same way that I treat them. So, kind of makes it pretty easy in the sense of we're here for the community, to be a part of the community, and just so very, very fortunate. And that's right, with your teddy bear, if he needs more, we can get him more teddy bears.
Trust me, Brooke, make sure we have a bunch of them.
Brooke and Mindy make sure that we have plenty of material out there in the community and that we're seeing. But, it's nice, too, when I look up and see Brooke and Kevin's wife here to support this as well. So for all of us, it is a team effort. And many times I may get more of the recognition when it's all of us. So, you're only as good as the weakest link in your team. And so our team is awesome, and I appreciate them each and every day. There's always somebody there. I was there Halloween night. This was my mask.
There you go.
So I didn't have to wear anything different. But, just to know that somebody's always there, and the community has really taken to us, and we appreciate that and want to be a part of it for a long, long time. And again, the hospitals do a great job.
Yes.
We need them when somebody needs surgery or something that we cannot provide. Yeah. And so they love our patients because our patients are satisfied, as you say, when they come in, taken care of. They're happy. Their patient satisfaction is going to be good because they started out good.
Yep.
And then for something like this, to be able to give back again for what Chloe had meant to all of us.
Yes, sir.
And to be able to help the family out and to come out here and support this, and to know that when bad things happen, they can turn into good. And this is good. It's a beautiful morning. It's good to see that sun come up, warm us up a little bit, and just a great pleasure to be a part of.
Man, I'm not I wouldn't call myself an emotional person, but man, watching that video, it is hard not to choke up.
Oh yeah.
Short documentary about Chloe, and listen to some of her friends speak about her.
Yep.
How hard it is. I can only imagine how hard it was for Michelle to get that, condense all this information down to 13 to 15 minutes. And before we did that, I had no idea Dr. Young was the one that gave them that information. And I'm going through here, and I felt like I knew so much about it, and there's so much I didn't know. I didn't know about the blanket things, which I just can't imagine being in that situation, and that's where your mind goes. It says a lot about her character.
Yeah, I think you're right, and you talk about her friends and the teachers and everybody that affects. That's as educators, anybody that walks into a classroom every day, they do it because they're there about kids.
Yeah.
Kind of like we talk about our physicians being there about patients. And at the middle school level, you're going to have anywhere between 150 and 200 kids per year. And it's interesting when one of those kids makes a mark on several people, and not necessarily just because of an illness diagnosis, but just because of their personality and the way that they are. And I was in the classroom for several years, and there are so many kids that I knew personally and still know personally that I'm even friends with today. And Chloe was that type of kid to a lot of her teachers on that campus. And when you talk to the administrators and everybody that just saw her in the hallway, that's what leaves a mark. And I think that heart that we're celebrating today, that's what made the mark on so many people. And that's really what makes this stuff cool, when you start to look and as a community and as a school, you can be proud that we got to be a small part of this story. Whatever that turned into, we were part of it. Right.
You can do something small. I watched that video when it premiered, which, I had seen it several times, but I watched it with my son. And he had a lot of questions. You know? Tough questions to answer as a parent, what happened? Why is cancer bad?
Yeah.
And these are things that, you hope they never have to really learn about, but it looks like it's inevitable. That these are things we're just our youth is having to deal with more, especially with the way information is shared now.
Guys, I didn't have the honor of knowing Chloe very well. I met her 2 or 3 times through the years. I've met her mom several times. What I will say is I've also got a friend that I went through it with. He lost his daughter at about 14 years old for the same exact thing, and I know what he went through, and I saw it firsthand. One thing I got to give Michelle is a lot of kudos for being able to have the strength to be able to come out and organize this stuff, because I know the emotion she's got to be going through to be able to come out here and do what she does is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's got to be a tough day for her. Happy day, but a tough day.
What a beautiful heart, to be able to pour your heart and soul into this, and knowing that, it's all in Chloe's name. And it was kind of funny talking about watching the video. I went and visited my 85-year-old mother yesterday, and we were talking, and she goes, "Well, what are you doing tomorrow?" And I told her, and I pulled up Chloe's video, And so my 85-year-old mom and I shed some tears watching Chloe's video. And then I said, Mom, I'm going to have to say a few words about this at the start of it. So this morning she texted me before we got here and said, I love you, God bless you, and good luck on your few words. So, just goes to show you Chloe's still touching other people
yes, sir.
That don't really know her but now know of her.
And I think it's important when you look at what Chloe's family is doing, pushing, going forward. That's how they're dealing with this tragedy. And so many people have to, deal with this at some point in their lives, and they're all going to deal with it in different ways. I think our community has done a great job to step up for Chloe in this situation, but there are other families that, through these types of tragedies, they probably stay more private. And a lot of the outreach that people do to them, it may just be a pat on the shoulder or a quick squeeze of the hand when they're at church. It may just be prayers at home to support them. I think the important thing to understand is when people are dealing with a personal tragedy, so many times there's so many unknowns. You walk in and physicians who are used to seeing this more often than parents are, all of a sudden you're having to become an expert in brain cancer.
Yeah.
You're having to become an expert in how to deal with different symptoms that your child may be facing. You have to become an expert in how to navigate hospitals and billing and everything that goes along with that. And just having a support system, whatever that is. And if somebody's not out in the community and doing the public type things that Chloe's family has been able to do with this, just figure out where you can be a support and reach out to people that way. Be whatever people need you to be, because so many times it's just a day-to-day, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not even that they need advice on what to do next. They just need to know that some people love them, that some people are behind them, and that we're willing to help out where they can. And that's the community thing that's going to help, because even though you see this on days like today, I can promise you every day is not full of this much activity. I can promise you there's times when it's a quiet house and just remembrance, and that stuff sits heavy. And that's where you got to have friends, and you got to have people that are there to pick you up and love on you. And it's great for people to have that.
I had a friend that passed, Jay Tomorrow, one of my best friends. He passed to the same kind of cancer. I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head, Dr. Young.
Glioblastoma.
Okay. Yeah. You know what I struggled with? I'm a grown man, but I struggled with talking about Jada to his parents. It was a conversation, I didn't really feel comfortable having because of, obvious reasons with emotions and things like that with them. And, as you get older, I guess you get a little bit more comfortable with it. But I think, like, what Michelle wants is that she wants people to come up and ask her how she's doing, talk about Chloe. And, a lot of that's an uncomfortable conversation for some people who maybe just don't know her that well. But I'm looking out here. We have 100 runners. We probably have another 100 people here. And, just a lot of people here supporting what she's done today. It's got to feel really great for her.
It is difficult when you have somebody with a diagnosis like this, what to talk about. But really, one of the advice that I was given is to talk to them just like they are, and let them know all the positives. And as Matt said, a few days are not going to be positive.
Right.
Be there when they need that shoulder to cry on or that hand to hold. And everybody grieves a little differently. Everybody handles tragedy and illness differently.
Looks like we have our first runner.
There we go.
Finishing. And he is. He did not. He's not leaving anything in the tank.
No, he's
Say that.
That was the one.
Where's our shirtless guy?
Quick,
I was going to say the one without the shirt will probably be here soon.
I don't even see nobody else right now.
But again, it's a matter of continuing to give the respect and kindness and compassion, just as they were alive and well, and there was no diagnosis. I think that's predominantly what people want when they have that. And then after unfortunate death, I think just being there for them may not even be saying much.
Exactly.
And then also letting them know the memories that you have of the good times and what they bring. And then so you look at something like this, all of us out here for Chloe.
Yeah.
And her parents, as you said, Michelle, being able to do this. I mean, how tough is it? But then how proud is she going to be at the end of the day? And I hope she has lots of tears of joy thinking about today.
Yeah, it's going to be a big day for her. I don't know if you know or not, Mitchell and his wife had their first baby this week.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. A little boy, right?
Yeah, Easton Wade Smith.
Mitchell and I, Morgan's brother, worked together at St. Michael's in the emergency department. And then also Mitchell was a nurse on LifeNet Air that I do the medical direction for. And outstanding young man, so proud of him and his wife, and now their little baby boy.
Yeah. I was always trying to get stories out of him on this LifeNet Air thing. He was like, "It's not as cool as you think it is."
a really tight trauma room. It sounds like
it is a tight trauma room, and there's not much room.
He showed it to me one day. I was like, "So you cannot be overweight, and it's a job requirement to be slim."
Well, occasionally I'll fly out there with them, and then you got to weigh the patient's weight, everybody else's weight, the amount of fuel, and occasionally I would stay back.
So you're saying I could never be a flight attendant is what you're trying to say. So I see.
We just have to have a light patient.
There you go, just somebody.
We have another finisher.
Getting it in. That's pretty quick. 4 or 5K.
I tell y'all, before they started, we were out here at 6 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock, there probably had to have been 40 runners, you think, we saw pass back and forth on Summer Hill? Like, what is wrong with these people?
I guess they were getting prepped, maybe.
A pre-run run.
A pre-run run.
And then again, I also want to a shout out for Tanya Du Bois and her crew there at Exceed Urgent Care.
Yep.
They knew something was going on, and I again think in the back of Michelle's mind, she knew something was going on. It's just you don't ever want to be the one to have to approach it, and so when it came there and that diagnosis came, there's so many outstanding caregivers from the times that she might have had to be transported by EMS with LifeNet crews to the time that she went to Arkansas Children's, seeing those fantastic providers up there, and then during her chemo, and just amazing amount of medicine. But like you said, it is a minefield to try to get through all that.
Yes, sir.
In the short amount of time, but we're particularly blessed to have such a good health system. There are problems with it without any question, but you see where Chloe was given the best chances in 13 extra months on a deadly diagnosis.
Can we talk just a minute? You talk about Exceed Urgent Care, and then of course you're a freestanding ER, and I think maybe sometimes people get a little bit confused about those types of things. Urgent care and an ER, you guys are, for all intents and purposes, the same as the hospital, meaning that if somebody comes in there, you can handle everything up to trauma, and you can actually admit people into the hospital. An urgent care is maybe for more minor type things. Can you talk about just that a little bit, what that distinction is? Because like you say, you go to an urgent care, then it may step up to where you guys are.
Absolutely, yeah. So, urgent cares are for minor illnesses, injuries, something that, do I have the flu or not? Do I have strep throat or not? Or I've got, hit my knee, not feeling exactly right, might need an x-ray.
Yes, sir.
But when it comes to the ER, especially like a freestanding ER like Texarkana Emergency Center, everyone is seen by a seasoned physician that's got gray hair, and it's usually falling out.
Been through some things.
Right. But not all of our physicians are that way. Some of them still have great locks of hair.
There you go.
And but most of us have been practicing for years, and everybody's seen by a physician. And then we are, just like you said, we're ready for emergencies. We're able to have CT, X-ray, ultrasound, get immediate reports, have lab on site, pharmacy on site. So again, just as you said, we can handle the same type of emergencies, be it medical or trauma, just the same as the hospital-based ERs can. And then the nice component of it is we can make people direct admits to the hospital.
Yes, sir.
Because I kid with most of the physicians that still practice and need the hospital for their practice. Do you remember who was writing those orders at 3 a.m. about 10 years ago? Well, that was me.
There you go.
So, and the physicians that we work with. So we're able to save them sleep and time during those years. So we're the same ones doing it out in the community. So we're able to make people direct admits, be able to call up a surgeon and tell them somebody has appendicitis and needs to go to the OR, and get that scheduled and done as soon and quick as possible, and make it really where it's convenient for the patient. And that's what we try to do at our place.
And you talk about appendicitis. I have a good friend whose wife came to you guys for appendicitis. from the time they left their house until they were at the hospital ready for surgery was an hour.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That just, it doesn't happen without something like your facility, and I wanted you to kind of clarify what that looks like, because maybe people don't understand that.
Right. Well, fortunately, we have almost no wait by the time the patient arrives and gets checked in. And once they're checked in, our team is so awesome that they're usually starting IVs, getting blood works going at the same time that the physician is seeing them and ordering the test. And then our tests, be it a CT, X-ray, ultrasound, and then medications are right there within a small area, and all of our focus is on that emergency patient.
And getting it handled.
Well, what does the non-top 5 roofer in the area, Tony Langford, think about a 5K? I don't know if you know or not, Tony used to be the #1 roofer in Texarkana.
Yep.
He was recently not even nominated.
But you are nominated in the ALT magazine, Pilot. I saw that yesterday.
Hey, under home improvement. Under home improvement.
Somebody was still noticing out there. I was a bit surprised by that, but I don't know, not top 5. I think the quantity speaks for itself, though. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Well, and I tell you, just from being out in the community, I know I've seen you. Kudos and cheers to you, because I've seen you resurrect some bad situations.
There you go.
And not charge the customer a ton, maybe even do it for free or very much discount it to right or wrong. And so, that's the reason I think all 4 of us are sitting at this podium right now, because we try to do the right thing.
Absolutely. Any situation I have corrected actually hasn't been my situation. I've corrected other people's situation, because one thing I know is people give people a lot of money to do this kind of work. When I see somebody get taken for their money or in a bad shape and can't pay for their roof, I always try to do what I can do to help them out.
Well, Tracy Gatlin just said you're the #1 roofer in her book. Let's do this, Tony. Let me give Michelle your seat. We're gonna have Chloe's mother on real quick.
I'm gonna let her sit here and I'll sit on there.
I'll have her sit on there.
Okay.
You ready, Michelle? Yeah.
Here, lady.
So we've been talking about Chloe and how everybody has an experience with her. I never met her, but I felt like I knew her, and she had an impact on not only my life, but even after the video, my son is asking a lot of questions. And today you have to have over a couple hundred people here. You had over 100 runners.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes.
I mean, I know you're probably going to get emotional, but how does this make you feel as a mother?
Well, I'm definitely proud, and we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Chloe, but I would give anything to have her here with us today. And but she saw a cause, a need, and we have so many kids in our community that are, even our local community, that are going through treatments. We have a couple of survivors here. I don't know if Maddox Smith is here, or Maddox, oh gosh, I can't remember. Anyway, we've got Darren is here, and we have Julian is actually in Irving, Texas right now, still getting treatment. And then Tony will be here in a little bit. He's a survivor. But it just means so much to us because for the support, because there's so much need for pediatric brain cancer research. And they are left with so many disabilities even after going through treatment. And
Dr. Young, he's been practicing medicine for a long, long time. And he's sitting down here, and we've talked, and he's like, Chloe left a lasting impression on him. And even in the documentary video, which I learned a lot more than I knew. It caught me how you kind of spoke about your experience, with him, and that had to have been such a hard conversation, to receive.
Yes, it was.
And, kind of take me through it, as a mother.
Well, you just don't. It's the last thing you think of, and hearing that we found some. I remember Dr. Young saying we found something. I'm glad you brought her in. We found something, and I was just didn't really even know at that moment what that meant, and didn't realize the how important it was for them to get us to Arkansas Children's Hospital, because it was, she was 2 days. They told us that she might have had 2 days to survive. If we had been sent home because they thought her symptoms were a virus, and she's 12 years old at the time, and so they were just on top of it immediately, and it was a team effort, and that is one of the things that, I know Chloe's not here today, but we got 13 extra months with her that we didn't plan on, and in all of that time, they told us we only had about 6-8 months, but all of that time she kind of, just relied on God to, heal her, and she even told us that she didn't know if she'd get her healing here or not, but she wasn't going to give up. She wasn't going to quit, and she never complained, and she was just an amazing child, and she just wanted to do things for other kids. She saw kids that she thought had more needs than she had, and it is hard, to be in this position. Even as a mother, I could have just stopped and not done anything else after she passed away, and I know she would not be happy with me if I had done that, because that's not what she was about, and she wanted to get her healing and share her testimony. So in a sense, people think she didn't get her miracle, but along our way, along the journey, we had many miracles. She had many miracles that people don't understand. They wouldn't see it as a miracle, but I will tell you that God performed some awesome things, and he still is today. And I don't know, you've heard that story where one person can bring a mass. It takes one person sometimes to make change, and that's what we're here for. That's what she would want, and there is such a lack of pediatric cancer research, and that's why it's important for the smaller organizations to join, like we have with Alex's Lemonade Stand, and bring more awareness, fund actual grants that they are literally, that's what we're doing right now. We are raising money to give to Alex's Lemonade Stand for a $250,000 grant for pediatric brain cancer.
And so talk about that just a little bit. How did you get involved with Alex's Lemonade Stand? I know that Chloe's Journey of Faith is a 501c3.
Right.
It's a nonprofit. That's what you're raising money for today. Just what's that going to look like, maybe nuts and bolts wise, as you guys raise money and take it on from here?
Well, since we're new, we just got established this year officially. We don't have all of the connections as far as like research and doctors, and we don't have the medical advisory board, and we don't have all of that in place yet because we are new. And so what we did is join with Alex's Lemonade Stand, which is a larger corporation, that's been around for a while. Yep. And they blanket smaller organizations, and together we work together to, we're just one of several small organizations that are joining Alex's Lemonade Stand to, raise money for these grants. And they have, I can't remember, it's in the millions right now. So we're just one little section. We're brain cancer, glioblastoma, DIPG, and osteosarcoma is also included in the grant that we're helping fund. So
and the miracles are still being performed today because Chloe is up there with God right now, and I can hear her saying, "Look, God, I told you picked the right mom for me." because Michelle, without you doing this, none of this would be possible either. And I think I told them earlier, it's even though they said I practiced a long time, not that long, Morgan. But the point of that is that occasionally somebody will come through and like Chloe, makes a lifetime impression on someone like me and all these others, and want you to do good and want you to have hope and want you to continue pushing forward. And Chloe is still out there. She's watching us. She's with us today, and she knows what you're doing. She knows what this is all about. And later today, I want you to relax, have tears of joys, think about the great times, and then look at what you have built here and what you're making towards the future of hope and helping us get some answers on some of these deadly cancers.
Well, and I want to say this, it could not be possible. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of our community, our friends, our family, and that is so important. I talked about this. I spoke at Red River Army Depot this week, and I spoke about how my cause might not be your cause, and there are so many great causes out there, and it's so important. You don't understand these organizations that do need support, that are doing good. They are taking the money and using it in the community. They're using it to do good works, but it's definitely, we can't do it without the community support.
Can you talk about a 5K, maybe where the idea for that come? I mean, I think, like, if Morgan and I were in charge, this probably would have been more like a chili cook-off. So how did we come up? Yeah, see, so I'm in on that. Yeah, I'm in on that.
Next year after the 5K.
There you go. That's a good way. I'll be more involved with that because I'm not.
I'll be the judge.
There you go. Yeah. But how? Kind of where did the idea of a 5K come from? And maybe talk about the running community here in Texarkana who really came out to support this.
Well, we when we first started the organization, we were just trying to figure out what we could do to get the name out there, get some awareness built up, do something that, offer something to the community that, would interest them, that would help us along the way. And we know our 5Ks are staples. They're not big money makers or anything, but they're staples. And it was kind of our introduction to the community, and this will be an annual event that we will build on every year. So chili cook-off might be part of it next year. if Mike Riley doesn't kill me because I'm so confused.
He's kind of the guy when it comes to 5Ks.
Oh yes,
around here.
he is awesome, and he knows his stuff, and a lot of people actually follow Mike if they know, and I heard that in the very beginning, that Mike is your guy. A lot of runners, as long as he's timing, they're there, So.
Yep.
Well, it just says a lot for you, too, when you mention that about other organizations needing, this may not be somebody's cause, but there's other organizations out there. And, it does my heart good to hear that. And, you're a special lady, too.
For sure.
And, Chloe had some great parents that taught her great things, and she meant a lot to all of us that got to know her, and this is special.
Thank you, and I really appreciate y'all being here, and I mean, of course, Matt, I'm so glad Matt's here. I was not going to ask Matt to be here because he's everywhere for everybody.
Well, I reached out to him, and he was basically like, "What took you so long?"
Well, I was not going to make that phone call because I know how busy he is. Yeah. He does so much for the LE community and our church, and just all around. Just great guy, great family. Love this man.
Yeah, he does a lot of good.
So,
the day you came in to talk to me about this, I think when you left, I sat down with all of my staff, and everybody realized how big of an impression Chloe had on this community. I didn't even know Chloe, and I'm telling you, I almost went to that funeral, and I didn't even know her. So many people followed her story, and it was I left that day like really proud of you that you took those steps to do this. I can imagine it had been extremely difficult.
It has been, and I struggled. I didn't think this was what I was supposed to do. I prayed really hard about it, and every time I turned around, I had somebody call me for advice or ask for, what I mean, and I just didn't realize that not only the children in this area, but the adults that reached out to me that are dealing with brain cancer or dealing with some type of cancer, and they don't know anything. And I'll be honest with you, we didn't know anything either,
Right, yeah.
and until we were introduced to it. We didn't even know the need for pediatric brain cancer research or pediatric cancer research, period, across the board. I mean, less than 4% is, NIH funds. Less than 1% goes to brain cancer for PD. So it's a lot. There are some major shortcomings in the field, and but we are seeing a few, pluses. They have really emphasized the brain cancer lately. I don't know if y'all have noticed that there's unfortunately the increase of brain cancer has grown, and they see more of a need of it now, and so I really feel like we're moving in the right direction.
Right. Well, and again, just kudos to you because you're doing such a great job.
Thank you.
It is your calling. I think, it probably took something like this for all of us to step back and take a look, and just a great event today, and makes me smile. I know Chloe's up there smiling.
I know she is.
I know she's proud of you.
I appreciate it. I'm so proud of her, and it's just, it's been amazing. So
if people want to get more information, they want to find out about your foundation, maybe they want to be able to get a hold of you, can you talk to me maybe, if they're watching on Facebook? I know there's ways to get a hold of you there, but what other ways can they contact you to get some more information about Chloe's Journey of Faith?
Well, we do have her website up, which is cjof.org.
Okay.
And you can link to pretty much anything there. I'm a pretty open book. You can message me or email me. Her email address is on our website, cjofministry@gmail.com. And it's just anytime anybody has questions or they want to know more. We are working on, we haven't applied for grants or anything ourselves. Everything that we earn right now is from our fundraisers. We're trying to keep expenses low. We are volunteer completely, 100%, and we're trying to make sure that we're transparent in our, in our organization. We have a treasurer that is not a family member. We did that on purpose because if you really want to know the truth, a lot of organizations undergo a lot of scrutiny for right reasons. And so we have accountability in place, and we're just going to build from here on out. So
I had the fortune to be able to get to know Chloe, as a patient, and just to let you know, those times when she came in there, maybe at her worst, because of secondary effects from the chemo.
Yes.
After we would get her feeling better with IV fluids, something for pain, something for nausea, she would be the one to start pumping everybody else up, giving everybody else hope.
Always said thank you.
Right. And again, wise beyond her years.
Yes.
But then had that infectious smile.
Yes.
And then the determination to talk about the blankets.
Yes.
And how much that meant to her, and just a special person to get to know, to have known, and know that she's still with us.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, if you'd like, before we sign off here,
Okay.
is there anything you'd like to tell everybody here or people watching?
Well, I just want to, first of all, thank everyone, all of our runners, all of our workers, everyone that is here today, that's supporting the cause. And I apologize for not maybe having it all together this year, but I promise we will grow and we will improve each year. This was a learning experience for us, and I appreciate everybody's patience, and we just love y'all so much, and we thank you for being here.
How about Chloe? What would you like to say to her right now?
Well, Chloe knows that we're all here. I know she sees her family and her sisters and all of her friends that are here. We have a couple of her friends that were running in the race, which really meant a lot to us. And I know that she would she's cheering us. I promise you. I know she's cheering us on because I've had so many signs and so many things that have happened this week that were not part, believe it or not part of what we had intended. I'll be honest with you, I planned for 40 runners. I did. And so to see this, I know that she had something to do with it, and she brought all of these people here today. It wasn't us, and we're going to give the glory to God, for everything. And we love you, Chloe. We miss you, and we know you're here in spirit, but we love you, baby.
Well, I'd like to thank Matt Fry for coming out, Tony Langford, and especially Dr. Young.
Yep.
I feel like I see you everywhere and everything in the community. But I can tell today kind of means a little bit more to you. And most of them is thank you for coming. Michelle, I'm proud of you. I'm sure everybody else here is. A great event, great turnout. And we'll be here next year.
Okay. Thank y'all so much.
Thank everybody for watching.
We've got the judges for the chili cook-off.
Yes, hey, we got it lined up. Y'all be ready next year.
We're in for that.